Hello YouTube, this is Ryan and got a quick weekly update for you here. I was able to get some time in on SDSX this week and I think we'll see a 2.0.2 update coming next week or the week after. Corey and I decided to add a switch to disable the sequencer as well as a switch to lock the sequencer. So like if you've programmed a beat and you like it, but you want to hear how it sounds with other kits, there's going to be a lock that you can just hit really easily, and then you can kind of scroll through the kits. I also talking with the user Benjamin, who discovered like some MIDI feedback issues, and so we got a fix for that. So really appreciate like the people that are out there using the app and finding those things that we just didn't come across, and we're happy to get those fixed. So stay tuned for SDSX update. ZOA beta is close. I have a few more changes to make on the layout code, and I'll actually show you a little bit of that here in just a minute. And I also, thanks to another user who goes by Rec, I was able to find and fix an issue that was on iOS 13. It's causing it to crash in AUM before you even load it. So thanks, Rec. And I'll show you that fix as well. It's just like some interesting stuff that I think is kind of instructive. I just want to also give you an idea of what I'm thinking about for pricing ZOA. When I compare it to my other apps, like AutoPad is kind of a utility, so it's priced more like a utility. Whereas ZOA, I think, even though it's smaller in scope than both AutoPad and SDSX, it's a much simpler app. It has like a more specific function, which I think commands some value. So, you know, I'm toying with anywhere from $2 to $5 for launch, and then like double that for like the standard pricing. Like $4 and $8 US is feeling pretty good to me right now. So let me know your thoughts on that. It's not going to be a subscription, so that's good news. Yeah, I actually just wanted to show you some of the code changes I'm making to ZOA, just so you can see like what is involved. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to switch over to my laptop screen real quick. All right, so I'm here in Xcode, which is it's what I'm using to build iOS applications, and I'll show you first this layout change that I make. So basically, the sliders were taking up too much space. And this is the code I used to have where I kind of make a guess at how wide the slider should be based on whether the device is a phone or not. And that's probably not the best way to do it. In fact, it's not really great because it doesn't take into account the width of the window. But I still like having, you know, a big slider or stepper if possible. So I'm going to add this line, which is basically saying like, okay, that's fine. That width is fine. But we also want to make sure that we're less than or equal to whatever the width of the cell is. But obviously, we don't want to be less than the whole width of the cell. We're going to multiply by 0.5 there. So that's just going to make sure that whatever size the window is, the slider is not going to take up more than half of the cell. So that should fix a lot of the layout issues that people have been seeing. The other change that is pretty interesting, I think, has to do with how audio units are created. And it just so happens that I think what was happening on iOS 13 that was causing that crash is that the view or the user interface was created, you know, a fraction of a second before the audio unit actually gets created. And you're supposed to be able to handle this. Like, you're supposed to provide like basically dummy information so that if the audio unit doesn't exist yet, then you can sort of get by. And that's what I do here. Basically saying, okay, we're going to ask for a row of cells, right? And we're going to get their states. And we're going to get that. We're going to request that from the audio unit. But if the audio unit doesn't exist, we're just going to give it a blank array, a blank list of zeros. And this number actually used to be an 8, which was just an artifact from when I was first working on ZOA. And it kind of hung around. And I didn't even really notice it until I was getting all these crash reports, and come to find out, right, ZOA's window is 16 by 16, the grid. And so basically, when the UI was asking for information, I just wasn't giving it enough information. So literally changing that 8 to a 16 fixes that issue. So those are some of the changes I've been making. And I'm feeling really good about where ZOA's at. I'm going to try to get 1.0 out to people next week. So stay tuned. I'm going to announce here on YouTube and on Twitter when it comes out. So go ahead and subscribe or follow me there on Twitter. I got a link in the video description where you can find me on Twitter. So thanks for watching, and have fun making music.